All right, so we took a little bit of a wrong turn. We followed our instincts. This will happen often. We kind of veered off the path over here. First of all, we saw people climbing with cables along a rock face, and we thought that would be a good idea. To get to a waterfall that we can walk behind, which we did. It was beautiful, and it led us to this point. This will happen again. You're gonna follow your instinct. You wanna try and get different perspectives. You wanna try and get different angles. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. When it works out, it's totally worth it. Here we kind of reach this ledge. It looks incredible, but it is very treacherous. We're not prepared, we don't have the right gear with us. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna backtrack. We're gonna get back on that trail that we came off of. We're gonna try and find another location that we can shoot from. Try and find these beautiful cascades that we came here to shoot. Let's see what happens. All right, so we're back at a new location. We backtracked from the last spot. We veered off the path. We found an unmarked location, except this time it actually worked in our favor. And we actually did it properly. We met these locals. We did scout this ahead of time. We had photos that we wanted to see, locations we wanted to check out. When we talked to the locals, we showed them the images, we downloaded them to our phone ahead of time. That is important because in many of these locations, you're not gonna have cell phone service. They kind of gave us these really kind of vague idea about how to get there. It's an unmarked trail. And we hiked for quite a bit, really up this steep cliff, but we got to this beautiful location. So here we are now. Now, if we look here, the clouds are rolling in even heavier now. We may be getting some rain on the horizon, so we need to work a little fast. But actually in a location like this with waterfalls, that lack of direct sun, that overcast light, is a lot better for us to work with. It's a lower contrast scene. What that means is we don't have those bright highlights that's gonna show up in the water, and we don't have those dark shadows gonna show up where the trees are or where the rocks are in that waterfall. So it actually helps us. So what we want to do in landscape photography for almost every scene, no matter what it is we want to simplify it. We want to pick our composition, we want to pick our focal point, and we want to make it as simple as possible, but no simpler. What that means is, again, and we're going to say this over and over and over again, we have to pick our focal point. We want to pick a prominent part of that subject and make the image and the composition for that image surround that. And if we want to simplify it, everything else that isn't that subject, we want to make go away. Whether that means making it darker, whether that means making it go out of focus, whether that means simply cropping it out. But in these compositions, when you have moving water, a great way to simplify the composition is to simply use something we call live photo. So what a live photo will do is it will simulate a long exposure, meaning that anywhere there's motion in the scene, it's gonna blur that motion. And what that's gonna do is simplify the composition by removing the detail in that water and giving us nice, silky, smooth effects. That's one of the beautiful things about an iPhone is this ability to capture still images and motion at the same time. So what a live photo will do is actually capture an image and record 1.5 seconds of video in front and behind. In other words, before you press that shutter and after you press that shutter. Then we'll have the option to go into settings and convert that live photo into a long exposure, essentially taking all of that video and stacking it on top of each other, only the parts that motion blur. Everything else that's static stays static. It gives us this beautiful long exposure simulation. Let's go take a look. All right, so here we are with the camera app open, the native iPhone camera app. And again, it's gonna default to our wide angle setting. And this is already a pretty beautiful composition. Right, I love these lines, the way it's moving across that frame from the top left to the bottom right. Okay, so before we do anything else, let's just take a look at our composition for a second. We have that wide angle lens, that super wide angle lens at 0.5. And I actually really like this quite a bit. This is giving me a little bit more of that waterfall on the right here that I don't want to crop out when we're shooting that medium shot. Now I can also go into that telephoto angle, that 2x shot, but you'll notice that I'm losing quite a bit of that waterfall. So I'm going to go back to my 1x, and I'm going to look at this again. I'm going to frame that top of that waterfall right along that top rule of thirds. I like it, but again, I think if we go back to that super wide, we're going to get a better composition. Now this is looking a lot better, but you'll notice that sky, we have a gray sky in there, that's not helping us at all. Right? Anytime you have a gray sky, what we want to do is essentially crop it out. So all I need to do is to simply tilt my camera down, and now I'm getting that waterfall that's occupying most of that frame. So if I move this off to the right and I come down just a little bit, now we're actually kind of like that framing. So I think we're going to stick with this. Now that next step is, how do we turn on your live photos? So what I'm going to do, there's a little icon. It sort of looks like a target with a slash through it. On the top left of the screen, I'm going to press that, and that's going to activate our live photo. You'll notice it says live in yellow on the top of that screen. What that's going to do is when I press the shutter, it's going to record 1.5 seconds of video before and after I press the shutter. And what's important is when I press that shutter, that I hold it very still, because after I take that live photo and it's going to composite into a long exposure, anything that's not in motion that I want to keep sharp, it will blur as well if I'm not perfectly still. So let's go ahead and take that photo. I'm going to take one more just since I'm here. And there we go. So that stabilization is so critical when you're taking that live photo because of the moving elements. So you'll notice that as I'm kind of leaning over this edge, this is not the ideal location. This is not the ideal way to stabilize the camera. But you'll notice that I do have this ledge behind me here. So what I can do, if I put my right arm on it, it will give me a much more stable shot. So now that we captured those photos, let's go ahead and open up our Photos app, and let's take a look at what we got. So with our Photos app open, you'll notice that you'll see the word live on the top left-hand corner of the frame. That indicates that this is a live exposure, with a captured video in front and behind of that shutter. Now all we need to do is swipe up, and we'll see the following options. Live, we have loop. What loop is going to do is just take that motion and loop it with a 3-second loop. Bounce is going to do the same thing, except it's going to reverse it back and forth, back and forth. And then we get to our last option, long exposure. You'll see right away when we click long exposure, it's going to blend all that motion in the scene, in this case the water on that waterfall, and it creates both a more dynamic and more simple composition. I absolutely love it. But while using live photo to create long exposures works really well, and I really would recommend starting there, you can certainly improve on it. One of the ways is it only captures 3 seconds of video, and it is actually capturing a video. So what that means is that the final image is a little bit less resolution than it can be. We can also do a lot longer exposures. We can do 10-second, 15, 30-second exposures or even longer. So what we want to do is download another app and show you what we can do with an app that's specifically designed to take longer exposure images.